City TV, and welcome to Inside Santa Barbara, Santa Barbara's only news magazine show. We take you inside the city's significant issues, projects, and events. Today we are coming to you from the newly restored Granada Theater here on State Street. The restoration of the Granada has been years in the making, and now this long-anticipated project is complete. Later on in the show, we'll take you inside and show you what theater goers have to look forward to. But first, our top story. History has shown that public involvement in Santa Barbara has made a significant difference in the city, and right now public participation is especially important. That's because the city is updating its general plan, decisions that will affect issues like housing, transportation, and environmental policies for the next 20 years. The process is called Plan Santa Barbara, and it's your opportunity to help shape the future of the city. Everyone makes plans, whether it's your plans for the day or for the weekend. But imagine planning for the next 20 to 30 years. That's a task the city is taking on. One main reason for undertaking Plan Santa Barbara is the expiration of Measure E, which mostly focuses on putting limits on commercial growth. But a lot has changed since the 80s, and now there is much more focus on residential growth. The second reason is to update the estimated build-out of housing units specified by the housing element. The third reason is to address sustainability in a comprehensive general plan. So the plan focuses on the city's housing, transportation, and environmental policies and looks at how to best meet community needs. In the spring of 2007, the city began the initial public outreach phase. Between March and September of last year, over 900 community members attended small group meetings and public workshops.
So tonight what we're going to do is just ask you what you love about Santa Barbara so we can try to keep it.
Common responses include small town feel and community connectedness, diverse population, natural features like beaches and creeks, attractive architecture, preservation of historic character, and the vibrant and dynamic culture. Steve Cushman is the president of the Chamber of Commerce.
We're lucky that we have geographically such a fortunate place to live, right? It's never too cold, it's never too hot. We have beautiful mountains, we have the ocean.
But the Plan Santa Barbara process is more than just a laundry list about what people love about the city. Now that the broad questions have been asked and answered, it's time to move forward. City Planner Betty Weiss.
Phase 2 is a really exciting stage, and that's where we are now, which is leading towards draft policy development. What do we really want to be the specific guiding principles for the city in terms of the future? And what does that look like? So we have a goal of living within our resources. Does living within our resources mean we continue to see mixed-use development downtown? Would living within our resources mean we need to explore new technology for waste management?
Coming up during this part of Plan Santa Barbara is a special Planning Commission meeting, being called the Development Trends Work Session. Here, land use development trends over the past 18 years will be discussed. Planning Commissioner John Justice says growth will be at the center of the discussion.
And a Development Trends Workshop will evaluate what the remaining amount of growth would be in Santa Barbara given its current general plan, show where that growth is going to take place, and then evaluate what the implications of that might be so that we can find out whether we've got too much growth or just about the right amount of growth or want a different kind of growth.
After the Development Trends Work Session, public workshops will be held, providing more opportunities for the community's voice to be heard.
The city staff is going to take that all the inputs they receive and kind of see where there's some common themes, see where there's some divergent viewpoints, and then try to come back and articulate some draft language as to what kind of development should go where, when, and under what circumstances.
When the City Council initiated the process in 2005, it reaffirmed the long-standing goal to encourage public involvement and participation at all levels of city planning. The city says people should come forward now and not wait until later.
We're trying to reach out and include people at all stages of the Plan Santa Barbara process, because what actually tends to happen is when, again, we're dealing with the real issues and the choices and a decision is about to be made, that's when people tend to come forward. And we're really hoping to hear from people as early as possible.
Judy Arias is the president of Allied Neighborhood Association, an organization made up of residents from a number of local neighborhoods.
The only way that Allied can be effective is to show that we do truly represent the neighborhoods of the city. And so they need to come, and I can't go to every meeting and do everything, and people have to all join together to work to be effective in an organization.
Joe Ruchon is also a member of Allied and an active participant of Plan Santa Barbara.
I mean, I have some very close friends that are just like, we talk about city affairs, and I said, well, come on, let's go. And they go, yeah, we can't do anything about it. It's impossible. They don't, blah, blah, blah. And I try to tell them that it's not like this around here. These people, you can talk to them. And now, especially with this Plan Santa Barbara, the promise was, come in and talk. We want to hear you. I mean, the name of the website is You Plan Santa Barbara. This is an open invitation. I mean, you're not going to get a better chance than this.
This is a good opportunity for Allied, the business community, and local youth, whose future is at stake, according to project planner B. Goulardi.
The general plan update process is to look at the growth for the next 20 years. So if someone is a youth now, over the next 20 years, they're going to develop into adults. Their siblings are going to grow to adults, their families are going to be here. So what they see as needs now are critical for them and the children to come. So having their voice and their opinion as to what they think is needed in their community, in their neighborhood, in their downtown area, their beach area is very important.
So important that the city is taking the plan straight to the youth, visiting civics courses and distributing surveys in local schools. With outreach extended to youth, neighborhoods, and the business community, the city hopes for a great turnout during the upcoming workshops.
People need to weigh in to the actual process itself and say what they think should happen, as opposed to sitting back and complaining about it not happening. There's a certain need for some community leadership here. I mean, people have to say what they want to see happen in order to make it happen. And if people are not clear about that, then the community leaders are not going to understand how important and how timely they need to act in terms of charting direction into the future.
A future that may or may not involve change.
And I think one reason why people have concerns about change is because Santa Barbara is such a nice place. But change can bring about positive things, and it can bring about negative things. And then in between, you want to hold on to things that are important, that don't need to change. So again, I think we need to learn from the past and think forward. What would we like to change for the positive? What we would like to preserve and maintain, and where don't we want to see change?
I think that everybody involved with updating the general plan, everybody involved is approaching it in a reasonable and positive way. I think everybody wants a good outcome. Nobody wants to ruin what we have.
Now we get to the tough part, and it's supposed to be a plan. And the essence of a plan, to me, isn't making wish lists of priorities and nice things that we should have. But we got to start making decisions. Decide, we can't have everything. A lot of these visions and priorities that people cited, when they play out, they compete. So what the plan should be doing is deciding where the points of competition are, where the choices have to be made, and make some tough choices.
This part of the process will be all about developing balanced policy options that are based on that range of opinion. It's a significant part of Plan Santa Barbara that will help move the process forward. The city launched the Plan Santa Barbara website in the spring of 2007 to provide up-to-date information about the planning process. Once registered on the site, you can receive periodic updates and provide online feedback. Don't miss your chance to voice your opinions at uplansb.org. You're invited to the Special Planning Commission meeting in the Faulkner Gallery on Monday, April 7th at 4 p.m. The public workshops are coming up as well on April 19th and 23rd and will be televised here on Channel 18. In addition to televising workshops, we will continue to produce a special series on Plan Santa Barbara for the next several months. Well, we're here at the Granada Theater. Deconstruction of this historic building began in the fall of 2004, with construction beginning in December 2005. This newly restored Granada Theater recently opened almost 84 years after its first opening. Although the Granada Theater is in plain view here on popular State Street, in our next story we take you deeper in the city to some of Santa Barbara's well-hidden gems. Santa Barbara's bridges span not only creeks, they also cross the jurisdictions of a number of city departments. In our next story, City TV's Dominique Blocker takes us to local bridges that will eventually be replaced.
Some of Santa Barbara's most trafficked structures are also the most hidden. Tucked away nicely in residential streets and busy thoroughfares, the city's bridges are so well integrated into the cityscape that residents may not even know they are there. Take the bridges along Lower Mission Creek, for example. Allowing Mission Creek to flow through an urban downtown, the bridges work to connect city life with natural environment.
The creeks in Santa Barbara are one place where we still have incredible wildlife habitat right here inside the city. And so they're worth protecting, and where we have opportunities to restore the creeks, we want to seize those opportunities and improve that habitat, improve the water quality for the wildlife and for the residents of the city.
Opportunities that many city departments are taking advantage of with the upcoming replacement of 4 bridges along Lower Mission Creek. The Ortega Street Bridge is scheduled to be replaced in 2010. This bridge is a perfect example of how different city goals are being accomplished in one location.
Here we have an opportunity of a long-term vision of flood control and creek rehabilitation, along with a infrastructure improvement, the bridge replacement, and also a neighborhood improvement, namely the west side pedestrian improvements.
Mission Creek has a long history of flooding in the downtown area. Engineers need to be cautious, however, with their alterations to the structures, since the creek is also home to the endangered steelhead trout and tidewater goby.
All of us try to work together towards common goals, and the Creeks Division works very closely with Public Works on projects that are near creeks. We work with the Community Development Department on projects throughout the city to try to improve water quality.
Parallel to the flood control and creek rehabilitation projects, the city began looking at the replacement of bridges along Lower Mission Creek.
And they are the Cabrillo, the Haley de la Vina intersection, the Ortega and the Coda bridges along Lower Mission Creek.
While the bridges are currently in safe condition, Public Works wanted to take advantage of available grants.
So while we were looking at the Lower Mission Creek project, we saw that there's opportunities in the bridge replacement to match the creek rehabilitation and other community values.
The coordination of efforts didn't stop there. Public Works worked with the Redevelopment Agency on the West Downtown Pedestrian Improvement Project with the goal of improving pedestrian access from the freeway to downtown.
They'll be adding sidewalk and streetlight improvements to the corridor, and so we are coordinating with that project to ensure that they are appropriate transitions, utility coordination, and total project coordination between the two projects.
The residential improvements don't end with sidewalks and lighting. Along with the replacement of the nearly 100-year-old Ortega Street Bridge, the city is working to add a small pocket park to the neighborhood.
We probably would have sitting areas. We'd have landscaping that was consistent with the creek, so it would be riparian landscaping. And it would really provide a place for people in the neighborhood to sit and enjoy the creek.
An overarching goal of the Pocket Park, bridge replacement, flood control, and creek rehabilitation projects is to blend form with function.
The roadway portion of the bridge will look actually very similar to the way it looks now, but the bridge rail will be improved, and the new bridge rail will have openings in the bridge rail, and people will be able to see into the creek better, but it's also designed so that the water can, if there's an overflow situation, the water can actually pass through the bridge rail, which is an advantage to having the water back up at the bridge.
And while the width of the new bridge will remain relatively the same, 40% more water will be able to flow underneath.
You know, we're so fortunate to be here in Santa Barbara where we still have natural creeks, and this is an opportunity for us to enhance those creeks and enhance the aesthetic values of them as well. And there really will be a place for people to enjoy and to come, you know, just standing here and looking over the creek. It's beautiful. Once this project is complete, it'll just be enhanced that much more.
The city is currently conducting traffic studies to minimize the impacts of the 4 bridge replacements. Well, a top feature of the Granada is the theater, larger now by 16,700 square feet with 1,550 seats and 8 box seats. Now that the theater is open, it will host groups such as the State Street Ballet and the Santa Barbara Symphony. Well, youth issues have been a focus in Santa Barbara, especially over the past year. Did you know that there is a certain time of day that teens are most vulnerable? In our next story, we explore this theory and what 4 local organizations are doing about it.
The Witching Hours. No, it's not the title of a soon-to-be-released horror movie. To those who work with youth, it's the hours after school until parents get home from work. It is the most dangerous time for teens, the time when they are most likely to be victims of a crime, participate in illegal behavior, or engage in risky activities like doing drugs or having sex. With the expansion of the current junior high after-school program, the city is hoping that these hours will soon be known as the enriching hours.
There are a lot of youth in the community that would love more enrichment programs. And the city recently allocated some additional funding to not only provide the after-school sports program, they wanted to provide funding for enrichment programs. So the city is now contracting with co-sponsors that serve youth in the community who have services that are self-sustaining. So they have their own funding source and then can bring those programs free.
The organizations involved have a long record of working with local youth. But with the new collaboration, there is one important difference. Now they can work with junior high students right on their campuses.
We've been trying to get onto the junior high campuses for a while, and this opened itself up to a great opportunity. We felt we could offer things that weren't traditionally offered, in addition to, you know, the regular sports like soccer and basketball. So we felt we could add an area that hasn't been met.
Free after-school sports programs for junior high students have been offered since 1990. But in order to reach the widest variety of students, Parks and Recreation is working with the Santa Barbara Board of Education to bring more enrichment activities to the students. To do this, they sought established youth programs that could easily be brought onto the 4 junior high campuses.
We've worked with junior high students off campus for a long time. It's just the campuses up until recently have not been accessible to community-based organizations. So that's a great opportunity for us to now, instead of having to transport the kids away from the campus and losing kids in transition, we can now keep the programs on campus right after school so the kids go straight from school to their programs.
We have 3 programs involved with youth, track and field, and running in Santa Barbara. With the junior high schools, this is our 3rd year of providing track and field clinics to each of the 4 junior high schools during the track season. We first teach them how to do the various events, track and field events, and then we have some practice meets between the schools in preparation for the 3 youth meets that we have at City College.
Shape a Voice, a local youth newspaper, along with the Surfrider Foundation, an ocean and beach conservation group, round out the organizations that will begin offering on-campus activities to students. Current after-school programs like blacktop basketball will still be offered free of charge to junior high students, but they'll also be able to take advantage of new programs like martial arts, newspaper production, and hip-hop dance, just to name a few.
Or however you kind of want to structure your program.
The city feels that this collaboration with both the school district and community organizations is targeting a critical group at a critical time.
The junior high schools are underprogrammed after 2:30. We believe that the high-risk discretionary time occurs after school until 6 o'clock at night. We've been working with the school district that really wants to keep the kids on campus, which is a great opportunity for Parks and Recreation.
It's more important than ever that foundations and sports groups in particular step up to bat and try to design some programs for these kids after school. With the child obesity problems they've been having, the gang problems, we've got to keep these kids busy after school, and we've got to keep them active.
And studies support the idea that after-school hours are critical. Nearly 1 million teens are left unsupervised after school in California. When asked their opinion about after-school programs, 86% of the teens surveyed believed supervised after-school activities keep kids safe and out of trouble. Juan Uribe, an 8th grader at Santa Barbara Junior High, agrees.
It keeps me away from other stuff, like gangs and stuff.
And if he wasn't involved in after-school sports?
Maybe playing video games and being lazy, and that wouldn't help me at all.
By giving youth more positive options, both the students and the community benefit.
Just to have them engaged and, doing something that we think will benefit them emotionally and physically, we find would be something that would also benefit the community.
I think it's wonderful because it means it's ongoing. I had mentors when I was growing up, and I like to be able to mentor people today.
I like to try and convince them that they can accomplish more than they think they can, and that helps with self-esteem throughout their lives.
We're really happy with the school district's decision to allow these organizations to come in on campus. We're grateful for Parks and Recreation to have coordinated this and given us the opportunity to finally provide the programs that we would like to provide on the campus.
I do want to stay in after-school programs because I get in shape and really enjoy it. I think everybody else does too.
For more information about the junior high after-school programs and the organizations involved, visit our website, citytv18.com. Well, the renovation of the Granada includes opening the common areas like the first and second floor lobbies for greater access and ease. The grand stairways were also widened. Overall, the designers took great care to continue the tradition of mixing art with history. If you remember, the 3 R's were also a traditional concept in school, but as you're about to hear from Vantu, the 3 R's are taking on new meaning.
Paper and plastic have long been the mainstays of recycling, but what about batteries, electronics, or even food scraps? Today, more and more of the products we buy can be reduced, reused, or recycled. But not everyone is up to date about the new 3 R's. So to meet Santa Barbara's ambitious goal of 70% landfill diversion by 2010, Environmental Services is taking the 3 R's back to school.
The schools were kind of behind in terms of recycling. They were recycling, but the amount they were recycling was relatively low.
Since implementing new recycling programs, Santa Barbara students are proving they are quick learners. Students like Karen Martinez have taken the lead to make sure their schools don't fall behind.
In classrooms, there's plastic bags that we take, and then students, they go and put the stuff in, and we bring them right here, and this is where we sort them out. We fill up this bin, and when it's full, we separate the cans and the plastics.
And other students like Myra Ponce and Myra Herrera are answering the call to make a difference by leading cell phone and battery collection programs.
Yeah, a lot of students are helping, and in class, everybody gets points if they bring a certain amount of cell phones.
When it comes to recycling, Santa Barbara Junior High School is making the grade. Recently, they won the Looking Good Santa Barbara Award for their recycling program.
Well, I'm glad my school put in recycle bins because that's real important to the world. And even my elementary school did that too, and I was always happy with that. And I just try to make kids recycle more, and it's fun.
The recycling program is also benefiting students in other ways.
They're interacting with their peers in a leadership role, trying to teach them what should go in the recycling containers and what should not.
Yeah, in the recycle. From now on, cardboard goes in the recycle, okay?
Recycling, even though it seems relatively basic, it's complicated because rules change.
Changing rules requires constant education, but you don't have to be a student in school to learn the 3 R's. Environmental Services also takes education to the streets.
To make it easier for people to properly dispose of their electronic waste or e-waste, Environmental Services has collection events like this one, recently held at the Franklin Center.
Mostly, as you can see in the area, we've got old TV monitors, computer accessories, printers, TVs, laptops, all those kind of things are the most common things we see. But e-waste in general encompasses anything that has a battery or an electric cord.
Despite the rain, a steady stream of residents drove up and dropped off electronics that they had pulled the plug on. At the same time, participants learned how the importance of recycling e-waste goes well beyond the landfill.
Well, it seems like electronic trash has something worse about it than other trash. I'm not sure what it is about electronics that's so toxic.
There's a lot of toxic components in these things that we don't even realize. We sit here and we tap away at a keyboard and we don't realize what's in that keyboard.
These toxic materials include lead, mercury, and retardants, which can be extremely harmful to humans and the environment. Yet only 10% of e-waste is being properly recycled.
It's getting the word out because it's relatively new that e-waste is really banned and illegal to dump in your trash can or to go into the landfill.
When you look at all of the projects that Environmental Services does, what we are trying to do is make sure that we live in an environmentally responsible and healthy community, and that all the choices that we're making, be it through recycling or reducing or reusing, that hopefully we're getting people to think about what they're doing on a day-to-day basis.
And to keep Santa Barbara from becoming an ecological Bigfoot tomorrow, students and concerned citizens alike are acting today, realizing the concepts of the new 3 R's are lessons worth learning.
If it is really toxic, then it's good to have these. Otherwise, we don't have any way to get things, throw things out and people start putting it in their trash, and we don't want that.
The earth is getting destroyed by all this trash and fumes and stuff. Everyone needs to make a part to try to recycle and make the earth better.
To read up on the 3 R's, go to sbrecycles.org. Well, that does it for this month's episode of Inside Santa Barbara and our tour of the Granada Theater. For more information, go to granadasb.org. Next time, we'll take you somewhere new and keep you up to date on the city's latest issues, projects, and events. If you have any questions or comments about the show, give us a call at City TV at 564-5311. You can also watch our show online at citytv18.com. I'm your host, Rachel Senes. Thanks so much for watching, and remember to get involved inside Santa Barbara.